Today, I'm joined by a very new friend, Eon Zero.
What's up, Mike?
Incredible artist, producer, Detroit's #1 engineer from what I'm hearing through the grapevine, dude.
Let's go.
What's good, dude?
How's it going, man?
How would you describe yourself for someone who doesn't know you?
That's a really tough question to answer. Excuse me. I do so many things. I'm a man of many talents, and I'm often spread far too thin. So I write for a ton of people. I produce for a lot of people. I'm an engineer for almost all of Detroit's artists. And I'm also an artist and my own manager and, all the other bullshit that we have to deal with.
I relate to that sentiment too much, and especially the spread yourself. And as I'm getting older too, I'm like...
It's bad, dude.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with 2-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. I come from a background of doing video, doing music videos and even touring stuff. But I've been turning down tours. I've been turning down event shoots because I don't know. I just see my career shifting in a different direction. How do you balance everything you do? And is there one thing that you really prioritize over the other?
I don't really balance anything. It's really bad, actually. I just do the best I can. And what happens is I feel like I'm always in this ebb and flow state of putting too much weight on something. So I'd say when I'm most optimized, I make music until I have writer's block. And when I have writer's block, I make beats. And when I don't want to make beats, I'm working with clients. So it's just my time is utilized well. But lately, it seems for the last year almost, I'll get so focused on one thing that the other things start to die. And that's been a really difficult challenge to overcome.
I haven't really had too many people on the podcast because this is an issue that I feel I deal with too, because sometimes I'm maybe if I only focus on the podcast, I'd be a superstar podcaster. If I only focused on my music, maybe I'd be a superstar artist producer. You know what I mean? But
you're speaking to my soul.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's and as I'm growing older, I'm kind of pulling things back because I do want to try to get the ball down in certain areas.
Yeah. I mean, I have so many dreams too. I want to be doing YouTube stuff for mixing. Just a side note, just to touch on that. I never went to school for engineering. I'm completely self-taught.
YouTube University?
YouTube University, yeah. I have 2 degrees. And most, if not all, the mixing information on YouTube is bullshit. It's a bunch of people who say things that might be practical in some sense, but literally almost all of it's garbage. And then when you go to even the Waves page, the high-end UAD pages, they'll show their pros mixing music, but they cut them off after the basic stuff. Oh, here's how we EQ'd and compressed it. And
they bring you the foundation, but they don't give you the...
No one shows the
sauce.
There's never sauce, real sauce shown. And now that I feel I have it, I want to give it away for free. I don't want there to be gatekeeping on engineering for artists. I think it's one of the most hurtful things for our industry.
I want to talk to you, because I want to go through all the facets of your career,
Sure.
but we're on engineering right now. So let's talk about engineering. So how did you get into engineering, and who are some of the artists that you've worked with that, you know, I need to just put this out there. We
Sure.
are very new friends. We
just met.
Yeah, this is the longest conversation we've ever had right now, being filmed
It
in
is.
real time, dude.
Yeah.
I guess the same for you too.
It feels
Jake.
so
You know what I mean?
natural too, though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because I think in the music industry, everyone kind of just knows everybody, and
Yeah.
it's like there's just this a great, like, even if we've never met, like, you know, I've seen you online. I've seen, like, we're in the
Yeah.
same circle, so it's like,
And it's cool. Like, I'm really, like, I can't say it enough, happy to be here. And, like, I do admire your work. So
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, I want to hear about some of the engineering. And
So I started making music in 2012, and like, it's hard to say that. It's like the first time I ever decided I wanted to make music, I suppose. I was in film school at the time, and I had no idea about anything audio related at all. So the first songs I recorded were like in Adobe Premiere, because I was really comfortable in the film software. So I didn't really know how to punch in. I didn't know it was in a thing. I didn't know what a compressor was. So probably like the first 20, 30 songs I ever recorded were done in Premiere. And because I didn't know what a compressor was, I would do automation on the waveform to make it flat. Like all the peaks I would bring down manually.
no, I know what you're saying, dude.
It
It's
was-
just like such a silly way to do a song.
It took
but,
like 10 hours.
but the thing though that's cool, it's like you just got to start with what you know, dude, and like that
Yeah.
you were able to start.
Yeah, and I was just so passionate about doing it that like that wasn't like a hindrance to me. Like I didn't feel like I was being gate kept. I was like, must be the way to do it. And I was an idiot because I didn't just YouTube it at the time, which I should have. Like the information was out there.
Yeah, but 2012, that you're saying that was the time this was happening, or a little later?
That's when I first started. It was November of 2012. I had a moment listening to a song and I said, I want to do this.
yeah.
And the rest was history, you know?
Yeah. So when do you like start, you know, becoming an engineer for a lot of these other dudes, and who are some of these other dudes?
Right. So I'd say probably about 2014, I finally got into like an actual DAW. And I started mixing
Pro Tools?
Ableton.
Ableton. Okay. No, I like
The
that though.
best.
No, I like Ableton too.
Yeah.
I've never, I see a lot of people use Ableton. Dude, I use Luna, dude. Fucking nobody uses Luna,
No,
dude.
that's the UAD one, right?
Reaper Gang? You know about this?
Yeah, I know. We've talked about this. We need to talk more. Actually, he tried Ableton. He just couldn't figure it out all the way. But because he came to my house and we did a session, he was like, "This looks pretty optimized, actually," and he liked it. But I am probably Pro Tools' biggest hater. I think there are a couple things that Pro Tools are great for, but it seems like everything you can do in every other DAW just takes 4 times as long in Pro Tools. But to get back to your question, probably about 2016, I was getting pretty good at engineering to the point where I was like, you know what? I think someone was like, will you mix my song? I think is when that happened, maybe even 2015. And I was like, sure. And I started selling studio time. And it just started slowly growing. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit in the way, you know, like job failures, trying to open a studio and whatnot in the way. But cut to like 2018, 2019 was my full-time job. And then it was just a word of mouth thing in Michigan to the point where I was like, I had mixed for almost every major Detroit artist that's there. So all of the rappers pretty much that you can name outside of like
You got to name some
Eminem.
because I don't want to just keep throwing them out and like.
I mean, I've mixed for like Sada Baby, Payroll Giovanni, LOM Rudy, just to name a few, but really everyone. So I'm drawing a blank. All the people from Flint. What's his name? He's just got out of jail. No, that's to be determined still. We're waiting for that to come out. Dude, I'm so bad at this.
Dude, you're so
I
good.
I have a credit list actually somewhere. Let's just do that. Because that'll just save us
The
a lot
only
of time.
Detroit rapper that I like really know like is Big Sean.
Yeah, and I've actually talked to him on FaceTime.
Oh, amazing, dude.
And we've talked about doing a new project because he was going to move back to Farmington Hills
Okay.
and or Bloomfield Hills. I'm sorry. And basically, because this was interesting. So one of the big artists in Detroit, her name is Cash Doll.
Okay.
And she had a huge viral hit on TikTok in like 2019. It was like the Ice Me Out, Ice Me Out. It was like some like rap song. And she came in the studio because I started recording her friend. And she was just so nice to me and loved what I was doing to the point that we're sitting in the session. And she was like, who do you want to work with? And I was like, I'd love to work with Sean and Drake. She's like, let me call them for you.
Insane, dude.
And I was just like, all right. So, 3 minutes later, I'm on FaceTime with Sean. Janae's walking in the back. And I'm like, dude, I want to work with you. And he's like, send me something. And he's like, when I get back, we'll talk about it,
Oh, that's amazing, dude.
We're still waiting on that. But that's supposedly going to happen soon here. So,
yeah.
that would be
be crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a short Big Sean story. It's not that exciting.
Yeah.
But one of the first, I guess it's a couple artists. So one of the first shows that I ever filmed on stage, like ever, it was a Big Sean show that Mike Stud, now Mike, Huey Mack, and
Mike Stud doesn't go by Mike Stud anymore?
No, he's Mike now. And hold on, and Jitta on the track.
Yeah.
And John Kilmer was there, but that was like one of the first shows I ever filmed on stage. It was really cool, but like I had the opportunity to meet Big Sean after that, and he was very, very kind.
So nice, dude.
Like really, like I've only had the one experience, and it was very short lived, but he was like the coolest dude.
Yeah. So I actually just did this massive album for the War and Treaty in Nashville. They're a huge upcoming group. They just did like 400 million this year or something.
Insane,
yeah,
dude.
they're amazing people. But we got A Boogie, Babyface Ray, Rick Ross, Lil Baby, Powfu, Babytron, Jadakiss, PZ, and that's just to name a couple more.
No, that's great, dude.
Yeah.
So, how do you get connected with these dudes? And, is it just word of mouth?
It's all word of mouth. I'd never ran any ads or done any marketing for my studio. But by being just like, so I guess just a side note, but back into it is like, I'm like one of Gary Vee's biggest fans, if you know Gary Vee.
Of course I know Gary Vee.
So I was DMing Gary for like 8 years, and one day he like responded to me and then like sent me out to VCon to like do like a live performance at his event.
Oh, incredible, dude.
And then we flew out to his office to talk with him. We made a bunch of content together. But one of the things I learned from him is that like it should always be give, ask. And just to be so overtly kind to people and have empathy for people. And when I based my studio business in that, and also another side note is I think 90% of engineers are bullshit artists. Like they're con artists. They're not really engineers. They're just people with an interface and a mic. And I think
a good engineer is hard to come by, dude.
Well, I think it's a separate art form, and too many people call themselves engineers, and they barely know how to run Pro Tools.
And you do a lot of production too.
Tons.
So listen, dude, I have a theory that the best engineers
are producers.
Are producers, dude.
I think that's true. And not to toot my own horn too, I think that the ones that are also artists have a really unique advantage, because even when I'm recording artists, most engineers that I know have zero experience of what it feels like to be behind a mic. And by knowing exactly what it feels like, it allows me to speak to them or encourage them in a way that I know is going to work.
Because you've tried it. You can also give tips where it's like, try the cadence like this, like.
I'm telling people what notes to sing in their harmonies, everything. I'm adding guitar solos to people's songs.
You're able to give notes to people and, ideas that you just have tried before and you just really know because you've experienced it.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of value in that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. And I feel really grateful and blessed about all of it. But it's crazy because like I would just like meet a client and then he'd be like, I know this big artist, and then like LM Rudy comes in and then he loves me so much. He's like, what are you doing with this shitty equipment? He's like, you're so talented, you know what I mean? And then he goes, what do you need to take your studio to the next level? I was like, I really need a better microphone. He comes back the next day with a U87 for me.
Insane, dude. And if anyone doesn't know what a U87, it's the mic of all mics, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, I offered him a deal that he's clearly made out on at this point. I was like, I'll do half off sessions forever, And so like till this day, I have to limit him on how much studio time he can get because it like cuts into my budgeting.
Yeah, that's actually amazing, dude.
So he's definitely made his way out of that deal, but it was just in explicit kindness. And because of him, he's working with everyone else. And then I'm doing shit for other people. And just word of mouth of just being like, this kid loves engineering. It wasn't like, in Detroit especially, and I'm sorry if you're from Detroit and you're an engineer, like most of you guys, you need to level up a little bit, because they're charging $80 an hour, and I'm hearing the mix. It sounds like they recorded them in a bathroom. They don't even know what a compressor is.
Yeah.
I asked them to send me the stems for clients. They're like, what's that?
insane.
It's
dude.
embarrassing.
Yeah. So
It's bad for the artist, I guess.
what's some advice that you would have, like, you know, for someone who's trying to get into engineering and
Right. That's a great question because I just said YouTube sucks.
yeah.
I would say trial and error. So I'll give you like 3 to 5 things for engineers. There are no rules to engineering. If it sounds good, do it. That is the foundation of all great engineering. I've had records where I've had 3 de-essers in a row, and it's what's needed. I've had ones where I compressed it to shit, which you're not really supposed to do. It's what the record needed. So like try every plugin in there and see if it works. But also, if you have poor equipment or a poor recording space, you don't even know if like what you're doing is working. So I'd say go online, find stems, because it can't be that hard to Google and find just professional recorded stems. Try to mix those, because if you can make those sound good, you got it figured out.
Yeah, and you kind of nailed the head on how I feel about songs. If it sounds good, it sounds good.
Yeah,
you know, and I don't like necessarily, because the person listening, first of all, the average person listening,
it's new to them.
Yeah, but they also don't even know I sent my sister, for example, like 4 different versions of a mix. She's like, oh yeah, he's back a little grummy, dude. But, and she's just like, all of these sound great. Yeah. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, they're so different.
They're worlds apart, but they're like, yeah.
But the average person is just like, oh, same song, sounds good to me. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
At a certain point, to me, it matters. But like, sometimes I got to get out of my head and realize that like, if it's good, it's good. You know what I mean?
In that aspect, I admire Rick Rubin because everything to him is about feeling. And one of my best friends, he's like that too. I'll show him like 4 different mixes. He'll be like, they all sound the same. I'll change a whole verse and he'd be like, I kind of like the old one. But not even because the new one's better. He's just like, it just made me feel good the first time I heard it. And like, he's like, I don't even know what you're saying. Like, I'd be like, did you catch any of the bars? He'd be like, no. He just enjoy, like so many consumers, like we get so in our own way as artists that we cannot enjoy music as a consumer. And if you don't have people like your sister to send music to, you can't even be brought down to base level. Because I don't even send my music to artists anymore because it's like...
Well, it's hard because then they're like, those are the most critical because they're the ones who like have experience like with some of these notes. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, like add more reverb. My sister wouldn't know to even...
You know what reverb is.
You know, it's actually funny though. The other day, my mom called me while I was with a friend, and she's like, is the mix on the song that you dropped the same one that you sent me? She like literally said that to me, and I was like, Mom, I can't have you telling me about mixed notes now at this point because I'm like, I'm already overthinking this. She was like, yeah, I just thought the vocal was louder on the one that I heard, and I'm like, Mom.
She leveled up.
Yeah, I was like a little too much though. I was like, get out of here. So much,
she's off the train.
Yeah, but But no, I mean, she obviously, like, it comes from a place of care, but I'm just like, like, I'm already overthinking these mixes, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and, you know, like, I ended up hiring, like, one of my best friends, Jesse, he goes by Cloud. He lives in LA now, and he worked in my studio for a couple years, and he got really good at engineering, too. And then one of my other best friends goes by Sketchy. He went to school for engineering. He, like, paid, like, for 2 years, and then came out of it. And he's like, I still don't know how to do this.
Bro, it's like, dude, school is like, can be hit or miss. You know what I mean?
I think it's like a miss, dude.
Dude, because I've never gone to school for engineering. But you know what? I could do it to some test because my film stuff and all my music videos, like, was not, I mean, I guess there were some things I like learned in school, but like, YouTube University carried me. Like I was doing music videos and stuff even before I was taking film courses. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like there was a lot that I learned, and like maybe there was stuff that they brought up that I already knew from like YouTube. But for the most part, it was like the one thing I found from I didn't graduate from college, but because I dropped out. Right. But from my time there, the biggest thing I got was like inspiration from my classes. You know what I mean?
I found the exact opposite experience in mine. Because when I went to film school and my teacher was giving A's to kids that were like doing unwatchable stuff, but he had to subjectively grade it based on their capabilities, which I understand to a degree, but that also makes it difficult because I was like, why should I put if I make a project twice as good as theirs, but he knows I slacked off, I'm getting a bad grade.
Even if it looks bad, even if the final product technically is better and looks better, it's just because it didn't take you as long to get there.
And I appreciate that he held me to a high standard like that, but a lot of the things that happened to me in film school is ultimately why I quit film. The like requirement of pre-production on things that to me before were like creative entities. You know what I mean? One of my favorite things to do is just go out and film and like come up with ideas on the spot. And if we didn't have stuff in our pre-production, he didn't want us doing it at all. So I was like, it destroyed something in me that music never has. So like most of the time when I create music, I sit down and I write or I'll freestyle my songs. And I'm just constantly at this forever, like at a whim. I'm like, oh, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And I like where that takes me. And I can't do that with film.
Maybe because, like, what do you think happened there? You think just, like, some of the freedom of, like, the flowing of just, like, yeah, you know, it's funny that you say something like that because, I mean, I've never lost my love for film, although I don't do it nearly as much as I used to. I mean, I used to be straight video guy, like.
I do love it still.
Yeah.
But, like, my passion is gone.
Yeah, my passion is still there. But, you know, it's funny, like, I don't believe you actually when you say your passion is gone. You know why?
Why?
Because, you know, for the short time I've known you, you're showing me these videos you shot on your phone today and you're like talking about that you can shoot it in log. You know what I mean? Like,
well, so I still love it, right? But like my passion,
maybe for like other people's projects, but you still have the knowledge and it seems like you still care about it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to care.
Yeah.
You know, like I always tell people all the time that I was like, I got angry for like a whole year. I was like, I don't want to be a content creator. I just want to make music, you know?
Yeah.
And now I think I'm finally settling in where I'm like, all right, let's make some good content. And I used to make content that I thought was good and I would get angry that it didn't perform. And now I look back at it, I'm like, it's because it's not good.
Yeah, but the stuff that you showed me today, like, was really, and for the people listening, you shot this on your phone. You know what I mean? The iPhone 16 has log now, which is news to me. Yeah, dude. Are you seeing these little fruit flies around?
Yeah, dude. I thought I was seeing stars, dude.
Dude, yeah, the podcast days.
Now there's 3 stars here.
I need you to tell me a story because there's just no way that you're an engineer in Detroit and you don't have an absolute nuts studio story or something.
Like someone's shooting their gun through my roof.
Oh, no. Did this happen?
Oh, for sure.
How did this happen? We don't have to use names.
Yeah, well, I definitely won't. But, like, Detroit is, like, a beautiful and a sad place. Like, most of the Detroit rap scene, it's a lot of like drug use involved and it's a lot of like violence stuff too. So like one of my favorite clients has been shot in the face like 3 times.
Insane, dude.
Yeah, lived through all of them and is like still making music, which is also a blessing. But this kid was just like, he was like on a bunch of like Percocets or something. And then I'm just like mixing and then there's just a hole in my ceiling then. You're like 2 seconds later, but it could have killed somebody. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's just so fucked up. He's trying to take pictures with it, and like it was loaded, and he just pulled the trigger.
Yeah, dude.
And he's like, "Oh, my bad, bro." And I'm like,
"What? How are you feeling in a moment like that?"
I thankfully have a lot of like firearm experience, so like I was able to take it from him and like dismantle it, you know.
Fucking
and, like,
drive over to the river and fucking throw it in, dude.
No.
File the fucking cereal off. No, just kidding.
No, but like I didn't like call the police on him because I didn't want him like.
Oh yeah, well that's It's
a negligent discharge. Like out of like all the crimes that happen with guns, that makes up like 99% of them. Where people just like accidentally shoot their gun. It's just extremely like. It's embarrassingly dangerous.
Yeah,
and it's like. From a complete lack of oversight for something that's really like dangerous. But I just like fixed the roof.
And that was like, that, dude.
I also told him he like couldn't come back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I just had to set like a line, you know what I mean?
I got a weird relationship with guns too. Like, cause I'm in the music industry and typically a lot of the artists I deal with don't have firearms, but there are a couple instances. I'll share this instance because I don't think I've shared this before and it's a fun one, dude. So I was on tour. I'm not going to use any names because I don't want to expose anybody, but I'll just tell you the story.
You just make up names.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of the story.
I can't, dude, because I was on tour with Wish Webby. Like, Mish Mebby.
You didn't have to do it like that, dude.
So I was on tour. Well, he's not really directly involved in the story, so I could just say that I was on tour with him. So I was on tour with Chris, and, my roommate on that tour was the merch dude. Right. And the process of elimination, you can figure this out, but he's cycled through so many merch dudes, so maybe, I don't know. So I was rooming with the merch dude, and, I'm sitting there like laying just like on my phone, whatever. His bed's over there. All of a sudden, pop, big smack on the nightstand. I look over, there's a gun with the barrel pointed right at me. I'm like,
Oh, that's not
I'm
cool.
like, yo, dog, put that away. He's like, what? Are you afraid? I was like, hell yeah, dude. He's like, you're not going to get shot. I was like, well, if the gun's not pointed at me, there's a 0% chance I get shot. If the gun is pointed at me, it's not zero.
It's greater than 0.
It's definitely greater. I was like, I don't care if it's 0.0001, dude. Like, there's, and I was like, is the safety on that at least? He's like, it's a Glock. There's no safety.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just like, oh, don't worry. I was like, can you put it away? He's not putting it away. So I like texted the tour manager.
Turn it, dude.
Yeah, I was like, yo. So I texted the tour manager. I'm like, yo, I don't know how to say this, but like, he's got a gun out. It's on the nightstand, making me uncomfortable. I was like, I'm not trying to be a bitch right now. Not trying to be a pussy.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got people. This would be a dumb way to go out in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, plus, like, it's like, I think people's like comfort and stuff should like always come first. Like,
oh yeah.
And as someone who like owns firearms, like, and I have like a CPL, I also will never rap about it. Like, it's just not something that's like about. To me, it's like a safety thing. And
yeah,
like, I pray to God I never ever have to ever use it. You know what I mean? You know, but it's just like you have to be careful, dude.
Oh yeah.
And people, the whole goal of owning a firearm too, especially even in situations like that where I've been in hotels with it and stuff, no one knows I have it. Like when none of my clients have ever even seen it. You know what I mean?
That's what I like to hear. Because you know what? The thing that I respect about, because there are some of my homies that I know have their gun on them 24/7.
Yeah.
I've never seen them once.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's something I like really respect about them too, where it's like, you know, the couple instances where people have showed them, I'm like, yo, like, and you know, sometimes I'll see them in passing. Like, I'm not saying like, don't ever like, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying like, you know, I've shot music videos where they're pointing them at the camera. I'm like, dog, this is mad irresponsible. I'm like over here. I've done
that before, and I've literally I'm like, everyone put your gun down. Like, I'm gonna fucking empty them all before we shoot this scene. You know what I mean?
I should have done that, dude. My shit was fucking loaded up, dude. You should have seen me. They were pointing at the camera. I'm over here like stretching my arm.
That would freak me out.
Yeah, I was mad young though. You know, but as I've gotten older, this doesn't happen anymore because my tolerance for things has gone down tremendously. Yeah. But no, I didn't know we were gonna get in like a gun car. But I think it's kind of interesting because, you know, it is something that certain artists, like a lot of artists have guns, dude. And it's like a city like Detroit, I'm sure like
Detroit's not that like Detroit gets such a bad rap. Like downtown Detroit is beautiful. It's so touristy. Like there's no reason to be scared of downtown Detroit. However, Detroit does have a lot of bad areas.
Yeah. Is Detroit where Portillo's is?
I don't know what Portillo's is.
Okay, never mind then.
Sorry.
Never mind. No,
it might be. And like I said too, I don't live in Detroit.
Yeah.
I've worked downtown Detroit before. But my studio's like 30 minutes from Detroit. And so is my house. So I get mainly like Detroit clients.
Yeah. So let's talk about production a little bit.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So at what point, like, where does production enter, like, versus when you were engineering?
Well, I made a bunch of like horrible beats, you know.
I think everyone does when they're starting, dude.
Well, yeah, my friend Max Davis, like one time he came to my house and he showed me his beats. I was like, why do they sound so cool? And he was like, well, I'm using samples. And I was like, what's that? And he like gave me a J Dilla drum kit. And I was like, oh, these kicks sound amazing. Like I'm just using stock sounds. And like I learned that people, obviously, we all know this now, that like people are stacking kicks and 808s. They're like their files. I'm literally just using built-in sounds into Ableton, which do suck. And so that changed my life. And then my buddy Jesse, when I met him, I was mixing everything with stock plugins. He's like, have you heard of Waves? I'm like, no, you know? And then so he hooks me up with like the Waves, like Ultimate package or whatever. And then my mixing just skyrockets in quality. So it's just been blessings of that. And then like at one point, even like 2 years ago, the same guy who got me the U87, he called me. He's like, hey, Pooh You a Fool needs your help. And if you don't know who that is, he did like Jack Harlow's What's Poppin'. He did DaBaby Suge. He's like one of the biggest producers in the world. And he's from Detroit and he's amazing. So he needed my help to play some guitar and help him produce some tracks. So I like bail on a session from this guy from Chicago, which he was like really pissed about. I was like, I can't miss this opportunity. We'll make up for this time tomorrow, you know? So I'm there till like 6 a.m. We're making beats for like A Boogie and Lil Baby together. And he's having me record this guy Nassan who's super sick and like popping out there. And we worked the next like 4 nights in a row, just like all night long. just grinding out beats and production stuff. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, we must be getting somewhere, you know, because it's finally, if I'm working with these people, like proof's in the pudding, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? I struggle really hard with like my own ego. I had a horrible childhood in terms of like I got bullied like an extreme amount. Like, so like my ego is like super fragile and like not big. So like I never am able to like suck my own dick for lack of like,
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, dude.
So like I have to be in a situation where like, oh, I must have done something well to get here. I'm really bad at like saying, oh, my music's amazing, or like I'm better than someone. Like, and I actually, at times, I think that hurts me to some degree, where I look at people like Russ, and his undying belief in himself is what's gotten him so far. And I wish I could feel that way more.
Yeah, dude.
But that's when I knew that, you know, the production was getting there.
Yeah. You know what, dude? I'm going to take this a wrap because, I mean, you talked a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. Like, we're just meeting. We're just connecting. So I don't know that much about you yet. So, like, what's something that's, like, interesting that, like, you know, someone might not know, like, just throughout your life and on your coming, maybe something that you've, like, gone through, or something that, like, or a moment that was, like, sick? I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about a lot of my issues in my music, too. I'm, like, very self-exposing. I'll go over a few things. I remember a specific moment when I was in 4th grade where, like, I was so unpopular and so unliked in school that I tried to break my leg with a hammer so that people would give me sympathy. I went to school one day and I was like, saw some of the cast and everyone was nice to this kid. And I was like, I got an idea. So, like, that was, like, a really low point of, like, early childhood. Also, something that people don't know about me is I'm allergic to water.
Okay.
No one believes me when I say that. I have a really rare skin disease called aquagenic pruritus, where if your skin becomes in contact with water, it feels like I'm on fire.
Oh, no, dude.
It's fucked up.
You're staying inside when it rains, clearly.
Yeah, it feels like acid rain, dude.
Oh, my God, dude. That's fucking
it's
crazy,
actually fucked up. Like, I told Jake about it. He didn't believe me at first. Talking about the water thing. Yeah. Every time I tell people, they're like, haha, it's so funny. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, oh, shit. And like it got worse as I got older. So when I was a kid, I could swim and stuff. So I can't even go swimming anymore.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, dude, like, isn't like a percent of our body water?
Yeah, but it's like it's a skin thing. Yeah.
It's like okay.
I can drink water, and luckily, like, it doesn't affect my hands.
Yeah.
And like some other important areas. So like I can
Thank
wash
God,
my hands.
dude.
Thank God.
You know
God is good, dude.
Yeah.
For that one. But yeah, like that's super strange. But
I wouldn't mind if you wanted to talk, or like if you're okay with talking, I wouldn't mind like doubling down on some of like the bullying stuff too, because I'm sure there are so many artists that are on the come up that have, and probably could still be, because I don't know, I'm sure there's young artists that listen, but like that just deal with bullying too. And it's like, you know, bullying is like, so, you know, at what point, what were some of the things that you did to, like, I guess for lack of a better word, like, you know, cope with it? And at what point, like, was there anything that you did at what point did it change?
That's a really great question. It didn't change until I was like probably like junior or senior year in high school. I ended up switching schools, and that helped me a lot because I was like a new kid there.
Yeah, so you kind of get a fresh start.
Yeah, I didn't have like this historical trail of failure following me. Because every time I went to a new school, I was like, oh, it's going to be better now. But like a fourth of those kids were from the old school, and word gets around quick. You know what I mean? I was a loser or whatever. But I'm trying to think about the question exactly.
Things like with coping and like, you know.
I didn't cope with it well. And, you know, my dad's like an amazing person, and I love him to death. And he's been like sober for a long time, but he had like bad drinking problems when I was young, and there was a lot of times where I was scared to go home because like I wasn't having a good time at home either. My parents were divorced, and it was just like it would just not be good sometimes. And I remember one day when I had it so bad at home and school where I was like, I don't feel safe at either, and like that was like scary for me. And so like, and me and my best friend at the time, his name is like Michael, and he had a really bad fucking experience too. We're just like the school losers. Everyone bullied us. People used his last name as a moniker for like, as like gay or, you know, like other things. So like people like the teachers are using it. The hall monitors
That's insane.
are like letting us get bullied.
That's
I'm
fucked,
getting
dude.
locked in lockers and spit on. I just like was like dehumanized to like the furthest degree. So like I didn't really ever even the reason I would have done music a lot sooner. I was playing instruments when I was like 7 years old, and I love music so much. But I think it took me till I was 21 to start making music or 19, I guess, because I didn't think it was possible. I just like I believed that I was the loser that they said that I was.
I really appreciate you sharing this, dude, because I'm sure it's not easy to talk about too.
I actually don't feel that way at all.
Okay, talk to me about that, dude.
I think the best thing I can do for myself and other people is really just be fully transparent. And I feel better being honest about my experiences because not only could it help someone else, it helps me. It's like I get to like go through it one more time of like what happened, how did I make it out, how did I grow from that, and that like makes me stronger in my resolve, I suppose. But just like it was so real for me that like if anyone else like is going through what I went through, like I want them to know it does get better.
Well, that's what's important to me too, like in this conversation where it's like, you know, you're living proof that like there is another side to this, right? Because, you know, especially with bullying, like people overlook it. Like, you know, I've never really spoke about it, but people do kill themselves. People go like to the far dark
tried,
end.
You know what I mean? And I just like couldn't get the balls to do it, I guess, which is also like, thank God too for that, I suppose. But I used to like run away. I used to like try to starve myself. I tried to break my leg. And it was funny, even when I dropped my last album, I got really self-exposing on it, and my parents listened to it, and they were like...
Were they learning this about you?
Yeah, like to a degree. Like they even like were like, this didn't happen. And I was like, oh, I just like never told you.
You'd be surprised too, like what people are going through that they don't expose to people very close to them.
I think they thought I was like having a good time at school. But like, you know, my parents were like having issues like with their marriage or like their love life or their work life. I didn't want to add to that. So like, it's not that they didn't create an environment that like where I didn't feel safe to say things. I mean, maybe to some degree, but I mean, they did the best they could, and I have to give them credit for that. But
sometimes it's just circumstance too. Like parents can like
wrong place, wrong time.
That's what I'm saying, dude. You know? But yeah, no, it is interesting to me too, because I know there are instances with like my sister too, and like I mean she's good, like she never got bullied or anything, but there have been instances where like, you know, she was feeling a type of way, and keep in mind I lived with her at the time. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you were going through that. You know what I mean? Because people are able to like
mask it
really well. You know, so it's like, at what point do you feel like your life took a turn where it's like, all right, I need to double down. Like I'm not this person. Like I need to start creating who I am.
It took so long. I mean, honestly, so like I started using drugs really heavily and experimenting with other drugs. I mean, I've done every drug but heroin, and a lot of them. At the time, I ended up making some poor choices. I landed myself in jail when I was 18. But I'm also, looking back, I'm grateful for all that because I probably would have never stopped if I didn't like have some severe intervention. You know what I mean? So I was just like abusing my body, sex, fucking, you name it. You know, I was just like making poor choices because I was just trying to feel alive. And I think, I mean, I like smoke weed now, but like super unregularly, like I smoke before bed type shit. But that's it, you know, and I feel more alive than I ever have without using drugs. Yeah. So like I feel like I'm being high, just being sober and like being authentic to myself. So as soon as I was able to like give in to like being who I actually am, and I'm like a little autistic and stuff too. I joke about it all the time with my friends, but like when I get to be my full self and joke around and like be a little bit neurotic and stuff, I feel happy.
But because you're like really embracing who you are, and it's like the things that bring you joy, and it's, you know.
Well, I have like a massive Pokemon collection.
Let's go, like, Pokemon, dude.
Yeah,
bro,
dude.
I'm a big Pokemon guy, dude.
Yeah, I have a huge, extensive card collection.
But you know, we could talk on Pokemon card. Like, we'll just Pokemon for a second because, you know, like a little bit. I like in school, I was always like, I actually got more popular like as things went on, but I wasn't always like in middle school. I was not popular, right?
Okay.
And I played a lot of Pokemon, but I felt that was something I had to hide. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't the cool thing to do.
The cool kids played Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Blue Eyes White Dragon, dude.
Yeah, I
Dark
have
Magician.
a really extensive Yu-Gi-Oh collection, and at one point I was like 200th in the world at online Yu-Gi-Oh.
Bro, that's insane, dude. I'm
just like I'm really a super nerd. I'm like super into Star Wars and like a bunch of other.
Were there a
nerdy
lot of
shit.
like nerds like where you went to school and stuff?
Probably, but like I was just scared to even show that side of me. That I probably would have fit well in that crowd, but I was so scared to like even pretend to be who I actually was that like I just didn't share things with people, or I would get caught in lies of trying to be someone that I'm not. Like, you know, like classic, bro. I picture it clear as day right now, like an 8th grade pottery class telling these kids I had a girlfriend who went to a different school.
Yeah.
You know,
dude.
And they're like, no, you don't.
And
I'm just like, you're right. And you know,
it's funny though too, because you got me like reminiscing on like some stuff too. Like in 1st grade, I definitely, because I grew up in like a very Jewish neighborhood, so I remember telling people that I was Jewish just because.
Are you Jewish?
I'm not. So I'm not. I'm Italian. But like I've never, you know, my girl's Jewish, so we have a menorah, you know what I mean? Now. But like, you know, back then I like had never, and all my best friends were Jewish though growing up. You know what I mean? So it's like I understand like the wanting to fit in. You know what I mean? And like, you know, lying. So, but and, you know, when you're younger, it's a little bit more innocent. Like if you're a 40-year-old man doing that, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, what's going on there? But when you're a kid, like you're still trying to figure yourself out, and like
it's just a liar, dude.
It's just a want to fit in though, probably, right?
Yeah.
Or
oh, for sure. I mean, I used to lie and make up stories about everything. I actually got really good at storytelling, probably from that, you know, which has been helpful for my music. But I used to just tell people things. So I'm like, maybe if I say this, they'll like me. You know, but I felt like I had no other choice, and I didn't even want to be that way.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, it's tough, dude. So, you know, I want to pull this more to your music now, right?
Sure.
Because, you know, and I really appreciate you sharing all that too. Because I emphasize like we really just connected for the first time now, you know, and it's like, but that's also something that like, you know, I do a lot of research for my podcast typically, but there's certain things like there might not have been any amount of research I could have done to figure that out.
I actually would argue otherwise. I think
because your music,
a ton of my music is like so like I talk about that stuff, and obviously it's like I can't even say it's like exaggerated, but like the line that comes to mind is like used to be the lamest in the school, now everyone wants to be me. Now everyone doesn't want to be me, but like
I get what you're saying
exactly.
But it seems like
it's all there. Like I'll talk about very specific bullying instances in songs. I got a song called Life is Good, just about how shitty my life was, and about like just saying it, life is good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's the song that like Gary Vee actually really liked.
Oh, amazing, dude. So my first album is called Life is Good, and it's kind of like a similar concept where it's like, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what you go through, like you're still here, you're good.
Dude, it's really a blessing to even be alive.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So in your music, like what really inspires you to be so vulnerable, because it's not easy for a lot of artists, because I know artists with incredible stories, like
they just don't talk about
them ever.
Probably my influences. One of the reasons I started rapping is a group called Atmosphere, who's
familiar. Yeah,
so Rhyme Sayers, Minnesota, all that stuff.
Minnesota,
that's right. I wasn't really even into rap before I heard them. Like I liked like Chitty Bang. I thought was cool.
Chitty Bang is Chitty Bang was my number one. Yeah, it's weird, dude. I'm
trying to get Chitty verse, dude.
Bro,
he just needs to respond to me,
dude. As I'm talking with you, there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of similarities where it's like we entered the game like as a video guy. You know what I mean? Kind of transition to music.
Yeah.
Maybe not with some of the school stuff, but like, my bad, dude.
It's all right.
No, you know,
I hope not, dude.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But I mean, I had like certain things, but I also had like a different journey of like things I went through in school. Sure. You know what I mean?
Everyone's going through bullshit in their own way.
That's what I'm saying.
Like no one got it easy. Even like the kids, like I have so much empathy now too. Yeah. That's like I learned that from Gary. Is like the kids that were picking on me, their parents were picking on them, and they didn't know how to deal with these emotions. So they took it out on someone else.
When you're young, there's a lot. You just don't know a lot.
Kids are fucking brutal.
Oh, they're so brutal, dude. I learned this at a Thanksgiving. I don't want to sidetrack this too far, but I went to one of my friends' Thanksgiving, and those kids were fucking tormenting us, dude. I was like. They're 8-year-old kids, and they're like liar, loser, and I'm like,
what the
hell is that? It was almost comedic.
I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like chill, too real. Yeah, my bad. Let's bring it back.
It's okay. So like I remember, like for example, like my best friend, I remember being on the bus specifically with him. He's showing me like this Lil Wayne song. I think it was Lollipop, and I was like, that sucks. I was like, this is even cool. Like I was playing guitar. I listened to like Foo Fighters and shit. I'm like BB King. I was just into other kinds of music. And I was like, why could you even like this so degrading and stuff? And I actually get it now, I guess. But when I found Atmosphere, it was the first time I heard hip hop used in a way where he was like self-deprecating in a way, but just being genuine. And he's like, my life sucks and here's why. And it felt cool to say that out loud. And I was so inspired and blown away by that he's the reason I started making music. And I was like, I have to be a part of this. Like even listening to it like made me feel so seen that I was like, well, I could never withhold these things from people ever again. Because if that made me feel so seen and like heard and valuable, that I was like, I have to create that for other people. And there's no way that I could ever like pretend that's not who I am anymore.
You'd be surprised at how many people relate when you start telling your story.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it even at shows. Like, of all the shows I've done, one of the songs I do, it's not even out. It's called Last Summer, and it's just like I talk about how like almost every girl I've been with has cheated on me twice, and then like, one of my friends in high school, like, there was a situation where I liked this girl, and we were talking for a long time. She told me I was like moving too fast, and like, she let my homie fuck her on the first day, dude. So like, but like it's all in the song, but it's like over this really good feel good beat, and I'm saying like really depressing shit, and people resonate with it so much that like everyone's always like, you need to release that song and stuff. The only reason I haven't is because the beat's sold, so I've been trying to figure out what to do with that.
Reproduce it or something,
exactly,
dude.
and I just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, but like I said, dude, when you tell your story, you'd be surprised at how many people relate, dude. And it's like,
amazing.
You know, and it kind of can be cathartic to them too, because, you know, if they're going through a situation like you've gone through, and like this is kind of what Atmosphere is to you, what I'm taking away is like, it helps the soul a little bit too, and it helps them keep it pushing, where it's like, you know, okay, like all these dark thoughts, like, oh, he's got the nail on the head how I'm feeling, like I'm not alone, like this is, I'm heard, I'm seen, you know? So it really is, and that's a beautiful thing about music too, is like, you know, I see people talk about the business side, I talk about this, but they kind of sometimes miss like
how beautiful it can be,
and like how powerful, like the message and why your words are important too, because like what you say really can be manifested, and what you say like resonates with people. It's just
sure. And then I guess the art form at that point is interesting because you have to learn how to use that to your advantage, but also you have to be careful because, for example, if I'm writing a song, I don't want to say, Billy put me in a trash can on December 13th, you know? That can be almost too situational or too specific for someone to relate to it. But if I say, you know, like, someone treated me horrible, you know... Like,
I know what you're saying, like on the spot.
The far side, right? Someone can now put their lives into that.
Yeah.
Right.
But even, you know what I find when people say like, you know, there's a song that was very popular this last year, this like the Chicago song by... where DJO, I don't know what the name of the song is, like, I'm going back to Chicago, I feel it.
Yeah.
Everyone has Chicago, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I've been to Chicago, obviously, but my Chicago is right up the road, you know what I mean? So sometimes people are able to just apply their Chicago.
It's a fine line, though, because I found being, like, too hyper-specific doesn't allow the viewer to put themselves in your shoes.
Yeah.
Or put their own shoes on, maybe.
Yeah.
And then if you're too vague, then they can't step into your shoes. So it's a fine line.
And I think certain songs call for different things, because like sometimes when you're telling a story, you want to get all those details in there because you want, you know what I mean? But like it really depends on the goal of the song. If you're trying to do a record where it's like, you know, I want this to relate to you, you got to pull back some of those details.
And it's the same thing with like my great trail of love life too, you know? Like finding a fine way to like balance that as well, because obviously I want to write songs about like love failures and these people I still care about and stuff, and not using names or specific things because I don't want people to know who it's about. Like I don't want to like somehow like make them a part of like a negative light, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to share my own experience, and that's been complicated for me. Like a long time ago, like I may have like had like a parent of someone I loved been like, you know, like I don't like that you're making songs about this, about like my daughter and stuff. And I'm like, I had to be like, I don't know how to tell you this, but like, that's too bad.
It's just like what happened. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It's like,
but also it's like, I'm not saying so-and-so sucks. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm just saying like that sucks.
Yeah.
And
no.
I can't, it's hard. Like it's so hard finding love, dude. Like, because it's hard. It's really hard. As an artist, at least, because the things that we have to go through with touring and everything else, like it just makes it difficult.
Yeah. It's funny. I had this conversation the other day with one of my boys because he's like, you know, he's out there like trying to find the one for him. You know what I mean? But like, I've been in a relationship with my girl for like, I guess we just hit 7. So I guess 7 in a couple of months.
Congratulations.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. And you know that's a war. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And it gets easier over time. But
she's never not known a touring Mike Squires. You know what I mean? Like that's fair. You know what I mean? So when I hung out with her for the first time, like I literally was leaving for tour the next day and we ended up talking the whole time I was on tour. You know what I mean? So then when we got back and we got together, but it is important to find us like, and it's hard, I think, in music too. You know what I mean? Because prior to Sarah, like, it's just hard to get people to get on the same wavelength as you and like kind of understand and like be supportive too. Like I've seen my homies' dreams crushed because their partner is not supportive of like what they want to do. So I'm like very
it
grateful.
Can go both ways for sure.
I'm grateful for Sarah, but it is hard. Like I can't even imagine. I think it would be very hard for me to do it now compared to 7 years ago, just because I mean, I'm outside, but I'm maybe not outside in instances where I would find a partner. You know what I mean? Sure. Like I'm at shows, you know what I mean? I'm at like, it's a different vibe, dude.
Fucking after the second show we did, I made such an impression on a fan that didn't know me that day that she got my song tattooed on her the next day. So that was like yesterday.
Insane, dude.
And got the Spotify scan code tattooed.
That's crazy,
and you
dude.
can
It's
actually
so cool.
scan it.
That's great. It was just because the song meant so much to her.
Yeah, and I didn't even perform that song.
Yeah.
But like they reached out to me later that night. They're like, I found this song and your music, like it's changed my night. Like my whole life feels like it's changed because of this.
Yeah.
And that's the moments I live for.
So I was going to ask you, what's one of the biggest or like successes in your career as an artist?
Well, it really kind of started like, promoting sounds.
Of course I know promoting sounds,
yeah,
dude.
So you know Sam?
So I don't know Sam personally,
I don't
but
either,
I have emailed Sam.
I've talked to him via text many times.
Sam has received Mike Squires emails for sure, dude.
Right. Back in 2019, I was making a remix to Pretty Little Fears.
Okay.
By J. Cole and Black.
Yeah, I love that song.
Six Lack. I don't even know what he was.
I was talking about him the other day too.
Yeah. And halfway through the song, I was like, I love what I'm doing to this. I'm going to make my own beat to it. And it was really intimate. It was about this girl I loved. And I was like so depressed. I'm like literally crying while I'm rapping and shit. So it was like, it felt so intimate. And I didn't want to upload it to my Spotify. I felt like it was too personal. So I put it on my SoundCloud. And the next day it was on Promoting Sounds.
Oh, amazing.
And I didn't plan for this. I never even heard of them at the time. And I didn't know they were watching me. So guys also never know who's watching you and like can give you opportunities. So you should grind like people are watching you. Just a piece of advice. But it went crazy on there. Like it went super viral. And that's really started my success because I think you mentioned something that earlier. And then he started uploading almost all my music on there. And at one point, Promoting Sounds ended up taking down all their old uploads. So I had like millions of streams on there. And they just deleted all their old videos.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that they did that.
Yeah.
Why did they do that? Do you know?
He never even really told me. I think he signed some sort of deal.
So I was going to get to that too, because I don't know what the deal is with Swaggy Tracks. I was a Swaggy Tracks guy. You know what I mean? So I was
it's the same kind of thing, right?
Same kind of thing. YouTube channel that has
like not Sad Rap.
Not Sad Rap. Sad Rap was Promoting Sounds. Yeah. I was over on the like.
I think I have songs on Swaggy Rap too.
Yeah, dude. But at a certain point, I think the label, like they signed a deal with a label or something, and it took it over because like the channel's uploads went from, or I don't know exactly what happened there. I can't even speculate, but there was a moment, a turnkey moment where the things like started to like lose traction. And maybe it's just not where the culture was at anymore too. You know, that could be an element of it.
I just wish I could have screenshotted all like the love that I had on there. Like I wish I had a heads up, and nothing against Sam, but I was really hurt by that too.
Yeah.
Because it was huge for me that people could type in my name and see so much social proof. Because I think that that's one of the biggest things for artists is like, and it's bullshit, but people, there's a psychological aspect to social proof. So like that now that I have songs and I'm getting a couple million streams a year on Spotify, people are like, oh, now you're cool. The songs are just as good as they were, you know?
Yeah.
But now people care.
It's tricky, dude. I mean, I know you just dropped some advice, but like, what's some advice that you'd really have for like an artist on the come up, dude? Or like something that you would tell them right now if they're just trying to get into it?
If you're just trying to get into it, one of the mistakes that I made when I first started is like the first song I made, I literally sent it to like all 4,000 people on my Facebook friends list. And that was the worst decision I could have made, because still to this day, my Facebook's not that viable as a platform because these people probably still think I suck. They never opened a message again after that. So keep things in the vault, like work on yourself, make songs, like as many as you can. I think when you're early on, quantity is better than quality. Don't even worry about so much about the mixing and stuff. Just get in the habit of creating and find what your goals are. Because if your goal is to make great music, that's very different than if your goal is to make money. And personally, if I think you're in music to make money, I think you should stop. That's just maybe a hot take.
I'm dropping an episode today that literally is that topic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's already like so much like cloud for us, like that we have to go through. Like the fog of war is insane. So please just don't get in the way. The money will come if you're honest. And I don't know. It's so hard for me to give advice about things like this because sometimes I feel so differently. Sometimes I'm like, well, if you need this so much, you know, like maybe you're doing the wrong thing. Like maybe you're not in the right place, you know? And sometimes I feel the opposite where I feel like maybe you just need like a little booster, like keep going, keep grinding, you know what I mean?
Because all artists are different and like also situations change pretty quickly. You know what I mean?
I've just never felt like some people will come to me like clients and they'll be like, I think I want to quit music. Like, I just need you to tell me not to. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to tell you not to.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel that way, you should quit. You know, like, because I've never felt like I should quit. Like, it's something that means so much to me. Like, so like.
The idea of quitting is devastating.
Yeah. Like, so like maybe your calling is something else. I think everyone should try everything that they could possibly consider that they want to do with their life. It could be pottery. It could be, you know, making ant sculptures.
Because at the end of the day, life is really about finding something that makes you happy.
And I think with music especially, because there's so much like cloud around it, like I see it every day in my studio where people are doing it for the wrong reasons. And then they end up not doing it anyway. And almost every person from my city I started doing music with, I'm the only one that's still doing it.
Oh, man, dude. We are the same fucking people, dog. Bro.
Yeah, and it's sad. Like
I literally have a line in a song coming up that all my friends had dreams, now it's just me.
Yeah.
Bro, like when you said that, I was like, oh, man, dude.
It hurts, dude.
Bro, it is so painful,
all the cool
dude.
kids peaked in high school, dude.
Dude, like, and dude, I even have people that I was like crushing it with at certain points, like along the lines. I have
tracks of people with millions of plays that don't make music anymore.
Bro, what the fuck is that about, dude?
I don't know. But also, if they're happier not doing music, I'm really happy for them.
You know what? Thank you, dude, because that is the God honest truth. And that's how I feel. But like, it sometimes sucks.
It's easy to be selfish and be like, I wish you were doing this with me, because it feels lonely at times.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's just talking to Jake this morning. It's like, we're making reels together. I'm like, I wish I had more of a creative network or people close to me that cared so much about this.
Yeah, but it is painful too, especially like when you know, like, when you believe in your homies, right? When you see that spark in them and you're like, yo, like you really do got the thing. Yeah. For them to put it down, it's like, it's painful, you know, but if they're
no one wants to watch Picasso drop the paintbrush, you know?
No, but if their passion's not there, that's just what it is.
You gotta respect it.
You gotta respect and keep pushing, dude.
Side note, more embarrassing shit about me because I remember your question earlier. I used to do battle rap. I thought that was a good idea.
I feel like that's not embarrassing, but like
if you watch the videos, it is.
Goddamn,
and they're out there.
Yeah.
I thought in like 2014 it'd be a good idea that I should do battle rap. I wasn't even good at rapping, you know? And I told everyone that I knew, like, come watch me do this battle rap. I'm gonna kill it, dude. I choked like fucking Eminem, dude. Yeah. I fucking just stopped. Everyone laughed at me, made fun of me. But what they didn't know is I was born in the fire, and I was like curated in pain my entire childhood. So I did it again, and I invited everyone again, and about half as many people showed up. And I choked again, and I made a fool of myself. And because I was born in the fire, I did it again. and no one showed up, but I won.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it has a happy ending, dude.
It does. And I realized in that moment too, I didn't need anyone.
Yeah.
Like I always thought that I needed like people to be able to do this. And I realized when I won on my own and no one was there that like, it was like, and the guy even said that on the battle, you can look it up. He's like, and where is everybody for you? You know? And I was like,
we have a lot of overlapping feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I like, dude. Cause like, you know, not everybody in their career like has the journey of like, you know, having all their friends drop out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I want to pull this to the end zone.
Sure.
Like last thought, dude. Like what's your message to the world if you want somebody to know one thing about you?
I believe more than anything that if you are really honest with yourself and the people that you love, it will take you further than anything else can. I think if you're honest with your audience as a creator, I think it'll take you further than any lie or any fraudulent speculation ever could. And what I mean is it might even be less followers, but the followers you will gain will love you for it, and they'll support you more than any of those other people that you lost would ever do that. So like we just talked about this with touring, I think that if I like so desperate to make real connections with everyone I meet on tour right now that like, I mean, I was just telling Jake, I DM'd every single person that was at the show, and I just started a real organic conversation with each one of them to learn about them and to become a part of their lives. And I feel like I'm really building real fans, and it's coming from a place of like real love and empathy. Like I care about these people. I want them to be happy. I want to be a resource for them. Like if they feel bad, they like Gary Vee still responds to DMs to strangers. You know, I want to be that guy. I want to be someone that people can count on for like advice, anything, and that's what means the most to me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think that's very powerful, and I think even with some of the messaging in your music too, you're definitely it's just gonna happen organically, anyways.
I hope so. You know, I heard you guys talking about monthly listeners earlier, and I know we got a wrap here, but I bounced off 100,000 downwards like 5 times, and it's like I can't get over the hump.
It's not always about the numbers, though.
I know it's so easy. So you also don't get lost in the numbers. You know, if you fall in love with the results, you're destined to fail.
That's the truth, dude.
Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't want to cut it, dude, but we are very like.
It's all right. I know the camera's about to go. We'll do another episode someday in the future.
Yeah, dude. I'd love to have you back on, but you know, plug yourself so people know where to find you, dude.
You guys can find me anywhere at Eon Zero, EONZERO, Spotify, all your favorite places, YouTube. We have a lot of music coming out. Jake and I just dropped a song called Anecdote. If you guys check it out, it mean a lot to me. But also, just please leave extra love for Mike because he's a good man, dude. He's a good guy, and if you guys take care of him, I'll love you forever. So
you guys just watch us become friends in real time.
Yeah, I'm gonna kiss him.
There's something about a podcast that literally straight like once you pod with somebody, there's like a connection that can't be broken, dude. Yeah. But thank you for coming on, dude.
Thanks,
and like shout out Jake too, because this was I didn't know this was gonna happen, but here we are, and I love it, dude.